Okay, so today we are going to start that work energy theorem. Okay, now what is work energy theorem? The work energy theorem state that the work done by all forces should be equal to change in kinetic energy. Okay, that is known as work energy theorem. This theorem is known as work energy theorem. Okay, so work done by all the forces should be equal to change in kinetic energy. That is work energy theorem. Fine. Now, basically, work done, the force can be what? The force can be conservative force. So we can say here work done by conservative force, non-conservative force, work done by conservative force. Okay, non-conservative force, pseudo force. Okay, whatever work done is there by any forces, that should be equal to change in kinetic energy. That is work energy theorem. Fine. Now I think we have discussed about what is conservative force. Conservative force are those force which does not depend upon path, and non-conservative force are those force which depends upon path. Okay. So I think in conservative force we have gravity force, electrostatic forces. Okay. These are known as conservative forces. Non-conservative force like friction force, viscous force, they come under non-conservative force. Therefore, work done by all that forces should be equal to change in kinetic energy. Okay. Now next type of energy is potential energy. Potential energy. Now what is potential energy? Basically, potential energy, it is energy possessed by the body due to the change in position, shape, or configuration. Okay. Due to the change in position, shape, or configuration, that type of energy is known as potential energy. Like if you have remember that potential energy, gravitational potential energy is equal to what? mgh. Okay. And we know that mg or gravity force is conservative force. Okay, so potential energy are those energy which is due to the change in position, size, or the shape of the body. Okay, fine. The potential energy is always denoted by u, and one relation is there that the conservative force F is equal to minus time of du by dr, which means if a potential energy is given as a function of distance r, then the force which is conservative force, the conservative force will be equal to differentiation of u with respect to r. Okay, or we can say that the change in potential energy, the change in potential energy, that must be equal to, now if I take dr on this side, we'll get what? Minus of fdr. Now we know that fdr is what? Work done. So can we also write this as the change in potential energy is equal to minus time of work done by conservative force. Okay, that is one of the relation of potential energy with conservative force. Okay, so work done by the change in potential energy is equal to work done by the conservative forces. Now conservative force are which forces? If you think on this point, gravitational force is a conservative force, then electrostatic force is a conservative force. Now if I find the potential energy of the gravitational potential energy. Okay, so to find the gravitational potential energy, we take some block of mass m, say block of mass m. Okay, now we know that mg is acting downward, the weight of the body will be acting downward. Now if I displace this block to some height h. Okay, if I displace this block to some height h, now what is the work done by the gravitation force? The work done by gravitational force will be equal to how much? Minus times of mgh. Why minus time of mgh? Because mg is acting downward, displacement is plus h, which is positive, and angle between mg and h is 180 degrees. So work done by gravitational force will be equal to minus mgh. Okay, now this gravitational force can also be written as a conservative force. So we can say here as work done by conservative force equal to mgh. Now how much? What is the change in potential energy? The change in potential energy delta U must be equal to minus time of work done by conservative force, which means minus time of minus mgh, which means the change in potential energy will be equal to mgh. Okay, now one more sign convention is there that if the body is displaced in positive direction, the potential energy will increase. Okay, and when the body is displaced negative direction, the potential energy will decrease. Now to define the change in potential energy, we need to have the reference point. Okay, now if you take a very good example that suppose this example which I have taken, this block was initially at ground level or at the ground, okay, point A, and it reaches point B. So from this explanation, we found that the change in potential energy will be equal to mgh. Okay, now here the change in potential energy can only be defined if we define the potential energy at A is equal to 0, which means we have to define the reference point from where we are displacing the body. If we are displacing from the ground, we can take ground as reference point. If we have to take B as reference point, then B will be the reference point. Okay. Now, if the body is above the reference point, then the potential energy will be positive. If the body is below the reference point, the potential energy will be negative. Now, if the same body I displace at some point C, okay, at some point C, at a distance of say h1, then what is the potential energy change? The potential energy change will be equal to minus time of mgh1. Why minus time? Because the 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 body A is displaced negative direction of the reference point which we have taken. Okay, so that is all about potential energy. Fine. Now there are some properties of potential energy, like that potential energy, since potential energy is the energy, it is a scalar quantity. So our potential energy is the scalar quantity. Okay, fine. Now it can be zero, negative, or positive. Okay, so it can be both. It can be either positive, negative, or zero. Now if you look at this condition, the condition which we have which we have discussed, the block was at point A. We have taken this as reference point. Therefore, the potential at A will be equal to 0. If I displace this body from A to B, means if it is above the reference point, the change in potential energy will be mgh, positive. Okay. Now, second case, if the body is displaced below the reference point, like from A to C, then the potential energy change will be minus mgh1. And if we are not displacing the body at all, the potential energy change will be 0. Okay, fine. So that is what about some properties of potential energy, that it can be positive, it can be negative, and it can be 0. Okay. Now it is a relative quantity. Relative quantity in a sense that it depends upon the reference point. Okay, the change in potential energy depends upon reference point, at which point we are taking the reference. Okay, like if I taken A as reference, then the potential energy change for A to B will be mgh. If I take B as reference point, then the change in potential energy from B to A will be minus mgh. Okay, so it depends upon the reference point. Okay, and since it is a conservative force, it does not depend upon the path. Okay, so it does not depend upon path, path independent. Okay, understood. I think you understood what is the potential energy. Okay, now there are some type of equilibrium. Okay, equilibrium means, from the name itself we can understand, equilibrium means the body is not body is unstable. Means equilibrium means, whenever we say equilibrium, it means that the net force acting on the body should be 0. Okay, so equilibrium means the net force acting on any body should be equal to 0. That is known as equilibrium. Okay, now basically there are three types of equilibrium. One is stable equilibrium, other is unstable equilibrium, and third one is neutral equilibrium. Okay, so there are three types of equilibrium. First is stable equilibrium. Now if I give you one condition like this, okay, we have some path like this. Okay, we have some path like this. Okay, now if I place a ball at this point A, this point B, this point C, this is point A, this is point B, which is point C. Now can you tell me at which point the body will be stable equilibrium? The body will be stable equilibrium at point B. We can see that if you displace this ball, the ball will come back to its initial position again. So stable equilibrium means if I displace any ball, if I displace the ball from its initial position, it come back to its again retain its position. then that is known as stable equilibrium. So in this case, point B will be your stable equilibrium. Why stable? Because if we displace this body from initial position, it will again come back to its same position. A is your unstable equilibrium. Why unstable? Reason is that if you displace this ball, it will go to the point B, which means A is unstable equilibrium. And third one is neutral equilibrium. Equilibrium means even if you displace this ball from some position, from this position to this position like this, the this energy will not change. Energy will remain same. So this will be your neutral equilibrium. Okay, fine. Now for stable equilibrium, one condition is there. Now for all the equilibrium, one condition should be fulfilled, and that should be what? For any equilibrium, the first condition is the net force should be zero. Okay, net force should be zero. And second condition is that the change df by dx should be less than zero. Or we can also write here as stable equilibrium as what? Now, if you go by the definition of potential energy, the F must be equal to, the force must be equal to minus du by dr. Okay. Now, if you use this concept here, we can say here that for stable equilibrium, the change in potential energy with respect to x should be zero, and double derivative of u with respect to x square should be greater than zero. This is the condition for stable equilibrium. Okay. Now for unstable equilibrium, again net force should be zero. So can we write here as what? For unstable equilibrium, first condition should be what? Du by dx should be zero, and second condition should be double derivative of u with respect to double derivative of x should be less than zero. Okay, that is the condition for unstable equilibrium. And third case is neutral equilibrium. Neutral equilibrium means for neutral equilibrium, du by dx means force should be zero, and second case should be what? Double derivative of u with respect to x square should be equal to zero. That is the condition for stable, unstable, and neutral equilibrium. Okay, fine. So important point here was the force, the conservative force would be equal to minus du by dr, where u is the potential energy and r is the position. So if we differentiate u with respect to r, we'll get the force there. Okay, then we are using this again. We are using this concept that if what, then we have to understand what is equilibrium. Equilibrium means net force would be equal to zero. There are three types of equilibrium: stable, unstable, and neutral. For stable equilibrium, net force should be zero. Net force should be zero means du by dx should be zero, and double derivative of u with respect to x square should be greater than zero. Okay. For unstable, du by dx should be equal to zero, or double derivative of u with respect to x square should be less than zero. And neutral, du by dx should be equal to zero, and double derivative of u with respect to x square should be equal to zero. Okay, that is what about equilibrium. Fine. Now let us do some problem for this. Okay. Now the first problem is that a bullet of mass 10 gram is fired with the velocity of 800 meter per second. After passing through the mud wall of thickness 1 meter, the velocity decreases by 100 meter per second. Find the average resistance offered by the mud wall. Okay, so can you get the answer for this? A bullet of 10 gram is fired with the velocity of 800 meter per second. After passing through the mud wall of thickness 1 meter, its velocity decreases by 100 meter per second, decreases to 100 meter per second. find the average resistance offered by the mud wall. Okay, now in this particular problem, can we apply a work energy theorem here? Okay, can we apply work energy theorem? Now, work energy theorem says that what the work done, the work done by all forces, work done by all forces should be equal to change in kinetic energy. That is work energy theorem. Okay, now if you look at this, we have the mud wall. We have the mud wall like this. Okay, whose thickness is 1 meter. Thickness of mud wall is 1 meter. A bullet of mass 10 gram and velocity 800 meter per second. Okay, it strikes this mud wall of thickness 1 meter and its velocity decreases to 100 meter per second. So when it comes out, its velocity changes to 100 meter per second. So what we have to find? We have to find the work done by the resisting force by the mud wall. Okay, so the if we apply here the work energy theorem, we state that the work done by the resistive force. Okay, so work done by the resistive force should be equal to change in kinetic energy. Change in kinetic energy means final kinetic energy, that is half mv square minus half mu square. U is the initial kinetic energy, u is the initial velocity, and v is the final velocity. And work done by resistive force would be equal to change in kinetic energy. Okay, that is equal to what? Half into bullet mass is how much? 10 gram. So we can write here as a 0.00 10 gram means what? In terms of kg, it should be equal to how much? 10 into 10 to power minus 3. We can take half m as common. Okay, v square means 800 100 square, 100 square. Final velocity 100 square, 100 minus 800 whole square. Work done by resistive force will be equal to force of resistive force into displacement. Okay, now how much displacement is there? 1 meter. Okay, fine. So if you solve this, we'll get the answer somewhat around 3150 minus 3150 Newton. Okay, so minus why we are writing? Because it is a resistive force. So therefore the displacement and force direction would be opposite. So resistive force will be equal to resistive force will come as 3150 Newton. Okay, fine. I hope you got you all got the answer for this. Okay, next the next problem is that the displacement x of the particle moving in one dimension under the action of force is related to the time by the equation t equal to root of x plus 3, where x is in meter and t is in seconds. Calculate the displacement. First, displacement of the particle when its velocity is 0 and work done by the force in first 6 seconds. Okay. Can you solve this now? The displacement x of a particle is moving in one dimension under the action of constant force is related by the equation t equal to root of x plus 3. Okay. So equation is related by t equal to root x plus 3. Okay. So can we write here as what? X equal to t minus 3 whole square. Okay. So x is given by t minus 3 whole square. Okay. Now, now what we can do? We have to find the velocity. Okay, when velocity is 0. So to find the velocity, we have to differentiate x with respect to t. So velocity will be equal to dx by dt, which is equal to how much? That is 2t minus 3. Okay, we have to find the displacement when velocity is 0. So when velocity is 0, what is the time taken? The time is 3 seconds. So at 3 seconds, velocity of the particle becomes 0. Okay, and what is the displacement of the particle? The displacement of the particle when time, okay, the displacement of the particle, the displacement of the particle when time t equal to 0 means time t equal to 3 seconds, the velocity is 0, displacement would be equal to what? T minus 3 whole square, which means 3 minus 3 whole square, which is 0. So at 0 meter, the velocity of the particle will be 0. Okay. Now second part B. Now B part is what? Find the work done by the force in first 10 seconds. Okay, first 6 seconds, we have to find the work done by the force. Okay. Now, what is the velocity at time t equal to 0? Velocity at time t equal to 0. The velocity at time t equal to 0 will be 2, 0 minus 3. That is equal to how much? Minus 6 meter per second. Because velocity is given by what? 2t minus 3. So at 0 second, what is the velocity? That is equal to 2 into 0 minus 3. That is equal to minus 6 meter per second. Okay. And what is the velocity at time t equal to 6 second? At time t equal to 6 second, velocity is equal to 2, 6 minus 3. That is equal to how much? 3 into 2, 6 meter per second. Okay. Now what is the work done? Work done must be equal to change in kinetic energy, which means final kinetic energy half mv square minus half mu square. So half m we can take common. Final velocity is 6 square. Initial velocity is minus or minus 6 whole square. Okay. The mass of the body is given to us. No, it is not given to us. Okay. So simply we can take as m itself. Okay. So the answer would come as, now I think 36 minus 36 will be 0. So work done by the force will be equal to 0 joule. That is the answer. Okay. So are you all getting this or not? Fine. Now next, uh, a mass of 0.5 kg is moving with the velocity of 1.5 meters per 1.5 meter per second on a horizontal smooth surface, collides with nearly weightless spring of spring constant k equal to 15 Newton per meter. Find the maximum compression of the spring. Okay. So how much maximum compression of the spring will be there when a when a body of mass 0.5 kg moving with the velocity of 1.5 meter per second. Okay, can you all get the answer for this? Okay, what is the maximum compression of the spring? Now here also we can apply work energy theorem. Work energy theorem. Now what is work energy theorem? State that the work energy theorem states that work done by the all forces, work done by all forces should be equal to change in kinetic energy. Fine. Now here, since the surface is smooth, therefore friction will be 0. Okay. Now horizontal surface means the potential energy change will also be 0. So work done by gravity is 0, work done by friction is 0. Okay. Now when this ball strike this spring, the only force which is there, spring force. Now spring force is conservative force. So can we write here as work done by spring force should be equal to change in kinetic energy. Change in kinetic energy means what? Now, if you look at this, initial velocity of the body, u is equal to how much? 1.5 meter per second. Now, when can you have the maximum compression of the spring? Maximum compression of the spring is only possible if the final velocity of the ball is zero, because it is when the ball will completely compress the spring, then only we can say that it has a maximum compression. Okay, which means final velocity is zero, initial velocity is 1.5 meter per second. So change in kinetic energy will be equal to half mass is 0.5, final velocity 0 square minus 1.5 whole square. That is the work done by the spring force. Now we all know that work done by the spring force equal to half kx square. Okay, so half kx square should be equal to half into 0.5, then minus of 1.5 whole square. Okay, now okay, that is equal to what? Spring force must be equal to this change in kinetic energy. Fine. So I think we get one equation like, so we'll get one thing that after solving get x equal to square root of mv square by k. Okay. Now mass is given to us, that is 0.5. Mass is 0.5 mu square by k. So mass is 0.5. Initial velocity was how much? 1.5 whole square by spring constant. Spring constant is how much? That is 50 Newton per meter. 50 Newton per meter. So it should be 50. So if you'll solve this, we'll get the answer as 0.15 meter. That is the compression of the spring. Okay, fine. Here spring force will be minus half kx square. Why minus half kx square? Because if this is the reference point of the spring, then the spring is compressed. So x will be spring force will be negative side. So minus kx half kx square. So we'll get the answer as 0.15 meter is the maximum compression of the spring. Okay, are you all getting this or not? Okay, now next is the potential energy between the two atoms in a molecule is given by ux equal to a by x power 12 minus b by x power 6, where a and b are the positive constant. X is the distance between the molecule. The atom is in stable equilibrium when you have to find the value of x when the atom will be in stable equilibrium. Find the value of the x when the atom is in stable equilibrium. Okay, try to get the answer for this. Find the value of x so that the body is in stable equilibrium. Okay, so here we have given stable equilibrium means, first of all, what is equilibrium? Equilibrium condition means that the net force should be equal to zero. The net force should be equal to zero. That is known as equilibrium. Fine. Stable equilibrium. And for stable equilibrium, what condition we have studied? That d square u by dx square should be equal to what? Should be greater than 0. And we know that the net force F net equal to 0. We can also write this as what? Du by dx should be 0. So this, if these two conditions satisfied, then we can say the body is in stable equilibrium. Okay, fine. Now the potential energy is given as a function of x. Okay, so can you find the value of du by dx? Therefore du by dx will be equal to how much? A into minus 12 x power, a into minus 12 x power 13 minus of minus 6 b by x power 7. Simply we have differentiated this u with respect to x. So if you differentiate u with respect to x, we'll get minus 12a x power 13 minus or minus 6b x power 7. Now this should be equal to 0. Then only we have the stable equilibrium. Fine. So after solving this, okay, so we can write here as what? Minus 12a by x power 13 should be equal to 6b x power 7. X power 7. Okay, it will come as plus, not minus. Okay, because minus will go their side, become plus. Okay, so we'll get what? 2a by b. If I divide here, we'll get x power 13, x power 13 minus x power 13 by x power 7. X power 13 by x power 7 is equal to how much? That is equal to x power 6. So we get x equal to 2a by b 1 by 6. So if x equal to 2a by b x keep power 1 by 6, then we will say that the body is in stable equilibrium. Okay. So the answer for this particular problem will be equal to, yes, it is 2a by b power 6 1 by 6. Okay, very good. That is the answer. Fine. I hope you all understand this. Today I will have one more class because chemistry ma'am is not here. So I will take the next class, or next class also I will take that. Okay. In between I'll give you 10 minutes for the break. Okay. Fine. Any doubt up to now? Any other problem you can ask me? Okay. Now next is the next concept is collision. Okay. Now this is important because directly the problem has been asked from collision itself. Okay. So next is the collision. Now whenever the body collides, okay, the first thing is that the net force during the collision should be 0. Okay. So if the net force during the collision is 0, then we can say from that if net force is 0, then the linear momentum would be conserved. Okay, so during collision, the linear momentum is always conserved. Okay, why it is conserved? Because during collision, the net force would be equal to 0. Okay, fine. So linear momentum is conserved there. Fine. Now let us take the two body. Okay, one body has mass m1. Okay, initial velocity is u1. Okay, other body of mass m2, velocity is u2. Both are moving at the same direction. Okay, now can you tell me when can the collision be possible? When u1 is greater than u2, then only the collision can possible. If u2 is greater than u1, it cannot be collision. It cannot collide with each other. Okay, so we have two body of mass m1 and m2, velocity u1 and u2. And when can the collision will take place? If the velocity u1 is greater than u2. So after collision, let us suppose this is ball A, ball B. After collision, the ball will get separated. Okay. Let us suppose it gets separated with V1 and V2 velocity. Now after collision, V2 should be greater than V1. then only they will separate. Okay, so we can see that in initial condition, before collision, the body A is approaching body B. Okay, and after collision, the body B and body A are separating from each other. Okay, and when can they be separate? If velocity v2 is greater than v1. Okay, so if we apply the law of conservation of linear momentum, can we write here as what? Initial momentum should be equal to final momentum. So what is the initial momentum? That is m1 u1 plus m2 u2 should be equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. Okay, so while linear momentum conservation, we get one equation, that is m1 u1, that is m1 u1 plus m2 u2 equal to m1 v1 plus m2 u2. Okay, m2 v2. Okay, now if the collision, now there are three types of collision. Okay, one is in elastic collision, other is inelastic collision. Okay, and last one is perfectly inelastic collision. Okay, fine. There are three types of collision. One is elastic collision. From name itself, we can say that elastic collision means that the total energy is conserved before the collision and after the collision. The energy remains conserved. Inelastic means the energy will not remain conserved. Okay, after collision. And perfectly elastic means the velocity of body two, which we have assumed here, would be means both the body will stick with each other, which means the collision is perfectly inelastic. Okay, so the energy will only be conserved if the collision is elastic. Okay, so if the collision is elastic, the energy is conserved. In remaining all the collision, energy cannot be conserved. Elastic means the total energy before and after the collision will always be same. So for elastic collision, if we apply energy conservation, we can write here as half m1 u1 square plus half m2 u2 square would be equal to half m1 v1 square plus half m2 v2 whole square. Okay, this is only valid when the collision is elastic. Okay, it is not valid for inelastic collision or perfectly inelastic collision. Okay, now whenever collision will take place, there is one concept that is known as coefficient of restitution. Okay, coefficient of restitution. Okay, it is denoted by E. Okay, now what is coefficient of restitution? It is the ratio of E is the ratio of velocity of separation, after collision divided by relative velocity of the body before the collision. Okay, so E is equal to relative velocity of separation after collision, after collision divided by the relative velocity of approach before collision, before collision. Okay, that is known as coefficient of restitution, that is relative velocity of separation after collision divided by relative velocity of approach before collision. Now if you take the condition which I have taken here, before collision the body was approaching, means A was approaching B. Okay, and after collision B body was separating A. Okay, so by using this concept, can we write E will be equal to V2 minus V1 vector by U1 minus U2 vector. That would be E. Okay, V2 minus V1 by U1 minus U2. U1 minus U2 is the velocity of the approach, relative velocity of the approach. V2 minus V1 is the relative velocity of the separation. And the ratio of the relative velocity of separation by relative velocity of approach is known as coefficient of restitution. Now this value of E will lie between 0 to 1. The value of this E will lie between 0 to 1. Okay. Now, if the collision is perfectly elastic, okay, if the collision is perfectly elastic, then E will be equal to 1. Okay, E is equal to 1 for elastic collision. E is equal to 1 for elastic collision. That is perfectly elastic collision. E will be equal to 1. Okay. Now next is E equal to 0. E equal to 0 means it is perfectly inelastic collision. Perfectly inelastic collision. Now if you think here, E is equal to relative velocity of approach by relative velocity of separation by relative velocity of approach. Now if you come back here, the first condition we have taken, when can you have E equal to 0? When the body A will stick with body B, means inelastic collision means the body A will stick with velocity with B, then only the relative velocity between A and B becomes 0. So inelastic collision, perfectly inelastic collision, the body A will stick with body B. Therefore, both the velocity will be same. Okay, but the relative velocity between them will be 0. Okay, and E equal to 1 state that there is no loss of energy, means whatever energy A was having is transferred to B. Then only the elastic collision E is equal to 1. And next case is that if E lies between 0 to 1, okay, that is known as inelastic collision. Okay, inelastic collision means there is some loss of energy. There is some loss of energy, but there is no complete loss of energy, but there is some loss of energy. Okay, so if the collision is elastic, there is no loss of energy. If E equal to 0 means there is loss of energy, and elastic collision also the loss of energy will be there. Okay, now we have now we have the formula. Okay, now whenever there is head on collision means what? Like the case which I have taken here. See, A and B, if both A and B collide in such a way that both the body center of mass will lie on the same straight line, then that type of collision is known as head-on collision. So if you look at this, this is the head-on collision. Okay. Now, whenever the head-on collision is there, and if the collision is elastic, okay, if I take one condition that elastic collision is there, then we can write here as what? If elastic collision is there, then we can conserve the linear momentum. Now, linear momentum will be conserved at all the type of collision. For all type of collision, the linear momentum is conserved. Okay. Now, if I take head-on collision, and if I take instead of elastic collision, if we take simply as inelastic collision, okay, like if E is equal to 0 to 1, if E is equal to 0 to between 0 to 1, then we can write here as what? The by conservation of linear momentum, we can write m1 u1 plus m2 u2 must be equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. So we get one equation from conservation of linear momentum. Second equation we can get from coefficient of restitution, which state that after collision means ratio of relative velocity of separation by relative velocity of approach. Okay, from that equation we can get the value of E. So we can also write here as V2 minus V1 must be equal to E times of U1 minus U2. That is equation number 2. Okay. Now, after solving both the equation, we'll get one equation that V1 velocity of body 1 will be m1 minus m2 divided by m1 plus m2 u1 plus 2 times of m2 by m1 plus m2 u2. Okay, that is the velocity of body 1 after collision. Okay, and similarly velocity of body 2 will be given by m2 minus m1 by m2 minus m1 by m1 plus m2 u2 plus 2 times of m1 by m1 plus m2 u1. Okay, fine. So that is the velocity of uh, that is the velocity of the body, okay, after collision. Now here we have taken E is equal to 1. Then only this formula can be valid. Okay. E is equal to 1, then only this formula can be valid. Okay. Now there can be some cases like some special cases are there in this collision. If both the bodies have same mass, okay, if m1 is equal to m2 is equal to m, okay, if both the bodies have same mass, then the velocities are interchanged. Means v1 velocity of body 1 after collision will be equal to velocity of the body 2 before collision, and velocity of body 2 after collision, that is v2, should be equal to velocity of the body before collision. Which means we can say here, if the masses of both the body are same, then the velocity are interchanged. Velocity are interchanged. Means velocity of body 1 after collision should be equal to velocity of body 2 after collision. Okay. And velocity of body 2 after collision will be equal to velocity of the body 1 before the collision. Okay. The next case is that okay, the next case is that if m1 is equal to m2, okay, and velocity of second body is 0, means body is not moving at all, second body is not moving, then v1 will become 0 and v2 will become u1. I think we can understand from first case itself that if m1 equal to m2, then body the velocities are interchanged, which means the final velocity of body 1 will be equal to initial velocity of body 2, which was 0. So v1 becomes 0 and v2 becomes u1. Okay. The third case in this is that if mass of the body 1 is very large than mass of the body 2, if mass of the body 1 is very large than mass of the body 2, then v1 will be equal to u1. Okay. Means velocity of 1 will be equal to initial velocity of 2, and v2 will be equal to minus u2 plus 2 times of u1. Okay. Now if u2 is 0, then v1 will be equal to u1 and v2 will be equal to 2 times of u1. Okay. Fine. So if the mass of m1 is very large as compared to m2, then that is the case here. Okay. Like we can see that uh, if I take a wall, if I take a wall, fine, and mass of the wall is very large as compared to the ball which is striking this wall, then you can tell then we can see that even if the ball strike this wall, the wall cannot move. The wall cannot move means v1 final velocity after collision for the wall will be 0, initial velocity will also be 0. Okay. That what I'm telling you. Na, see, if I take this wall, okay. Now, if we take the ball, the mass of the ball will be very large as compared to the mass of the ball. Okay. Now, even if the ball is striking this ball, the velocity v1 is the velocity of the ball after collision, and velocity u1 is the velocity of the ball before collision. Okay. That would be same. Okay. Which means ball will not move at all. Ball velocity will be 0 there in that case. Okay. Fine, then we can write here as v1 equal to u1. Or we can take another example that you take a very large rock, okay, very heavy rock of mass say 1000 kg, and you take a ball of mass 1 kg or 100 gram and try to strike the ball with that heavy rock. Okay, then we can see that heavy rock cannot move. Okay, but this ball will be reversed back. The same case here also. If you take the ball of mass m, which is very large as compared to the mass of uh, which is very large compared to the ball of mass m, then v1 will be equal to u1. So in this case, v1 will be equal to u1, which is equal to 0. Okay. So v1 will be equal to u1 will be equal to 0 in that case. Okay. Then if u1 is 0, then we can write here as v2 will be equal to, then we can write v2 must be equal to what? v2 must be equal to 2 times of u1. Okay, v1 equal to 2 times of u1, which is equal to 0. Okay, or we can say velocity of the body will be reverted back. Okay, fine. So next, this is the case which we have taken. This formula is valid when we have taken E is equal to 1. Okay. So if you can remember this formula, then it will be very useful for you in the NEET exam. Directly they will ask you the question. If you can remember this formula, okay, then it is very good. Or you can derive that formula, but derivation will be big hectic. Okay. For derivation, we need these two equations. M1 U1 plus M2 U2. Okay, if we have to use this equation and then we can derive this formula. Or if you can remember this formula, then it is well and good. Okay. Now next is if inelastic collision is there. Okay, so if inelastic collision is there, then we know that momentum will be conserved. Okay, in inelastic collision, momentum is conserved. Momentum is conserved, but energy is not conserved. There is a loss of energy. Okay, energy loss will take place in the case of inelastic collision. Okay, now we can find the change in kinetic energy or change in energy, loss of energy. We can find the loss of energy. We can derive that formula. I'm simply giving you the formula that the change in kinetic energy for inelastic collision will be half m1 m2 by m1 plus m2 1 minus e square 1 minus e square into u1 minus u2 whole square. We can derive this formula also. There is no problem in that. Okay, simply what we have to do, we have to use these two equations. Okay, this equation in the place of inelastic collision, E will be equal to E itself. Okay, then we get V2 minus V1 must be equal to V2 must be equal to V1 E U1 minus U2. Okay, then you substitute the value of V1 in this case, you'll get the value of you will get the value of V2. Okay, if we substitute V2 here, we'll get the value of V1. And if we can get the value of V1, we can get the value of kinetic energy half mv1 square. Okay, so after solving this, we'll get this equation itself. That change in kinetic energy will be equal to half m1 m2 by m1 plus m2 bracket 1 minus e square bracket 1 u1 minus u2 whole square. Okay, fine. Did you understand this or not? Okay, now let us do one problem here. Any doubt is there, you can ask me in collision. Okay, now let us do this problem here. A bullet of mass m moving horizontally with the velocity vb collides with a vertically hanging block of mass capital M embedded in the block. Find the velocity of the bullet block system after collision. Second, the loss of kinetic energy during this collision. So see, when the bullet will strike this block, the collision will be inelastic collision. The collision will be here inelastic collision. Okay, so there will be the loss of energy during this collision. Okay, so we need to find the loss of kinetic energy during this collision. Okay, so can you solve this now? Now, whenever collision will take place, you have to have two concepts in your mind. First concept would be that during collision, okay, linear momentum will be conserved. Even if it is in elastic collision, even if it is inelastic collision, whatever type of collision is there, the linear momentum will be conserved. Second thing, if it is an elastic collision, then energy will also be conserved. If it is inelastic collision, then we have to find the loss of kinetic energy. Okay, find loss of energy there. Okay, okay. Now let us draw something here. Like we have a block of mass m which is hanging down. Okay, so we can draw here something like this. A string is there, a block of mass capital M is hanging down. Okay, a bullet, a bullet of mass M. Okay, it is moving with the velocity VB. Okay, it strikes this block. Now, when collision will take place, okay, during collision, what is conserved? The momentum is conserved during the collision. Okay, now if you conserve the momentum, okay, before collision, so momentum before collision should be equal to momentum after collision. What is the momentum before collision? The momentum of the bullet plus momentum of the block. Now momentum of the bullet is mvb. Okay, momentum of the block, since the block was at rest, the momentum of the block will be equal to 0. Okay, now what is the final momentum? Now finally after collision, what happens? This bullet get embedded inside this block of mass m. Due to this case, the block will move with some velocity, say v. Okay, v dash we can take. Okay, then can you tell what is the final momentum? Final momentum will be equal to m plus m. Now the mass of the block become m plus m into v dash. Okay, v dash is the velocity of the bullet plus block system after collision. Okay, therefore we have to find that velocity only after collision. So after collision, v dash will be equal to how much? M vb by m plus capital M. Okay, that is the velocity of the block after the collision. Okay, fine. Did you understand this or not? After collision, velocity will be equal to mvb by m1 plus mv. Okay, now due to this velocity vb, what will happen? This block will move up to some height h. Okay, because of this velocity v, and it is attached to the string, it will move in a circular path and it will go up to some height h. Okay, fine, it will go up to some height h and it will come to rest there. Okay, now we can think in another way also, that when the bullet is inside this block, okay, it gains some velocity v dash. Okay, and it it gain because of this v dash, it gains some potential energy, that is mgh. Okay, so if you take this as a reference point, then the body will gain the potential energy there. Okay, fine. Now we have to find the change in we have to find what we have to find the how much loss of kinetic energy is there during the collision. Okay, after the collision. Now before the collision, after the collision, what was the kinetic energy? Kinetic energy after collision was equal to how much? Half m plus m v dash, half m plus m v dash whole square. Okay, half m plus m v dash square. Okay, fine. Okay, now due to this is the kinetic energy when the collision take place. Okay, due to this kinetic energy, this block moves to some height h. Okay, so can we say that whatever energy is gained by this block system should be equal to mgh. Okay, where m is the mass, m plus m gh. So from here we can get the value of h. The h would be equal to how much? H would be equal to how much? That is m plus m can cancel out, v dash square by 2g. So value of h will be equal to v dash square by 2g. Okay, so loss of kinetic energy will be equal to half m vb square. Initial kinetic energy was the kinetic energy of the bullet, that is half m vb square minus half capital M plus small m v dash whole square. Okay, so height gained by the block will be v dash square by 2g. V dash value we know, that is m vb by m plus m. We can put the value and get the answer there. And the loss of kinetic energy will be the initial kinetic energy, that is half mvp square minus half m plus m v dash whole square. If we substitute all the values, we'll get the value of loss on kinetic energy will be equal to half m. So if we solve this, we'll get the loss of kinetic energy, that would be equal to half small m capital M vb square divided by m plus m. We can find this value. Simply we have to substitute the value of v dash in the equation and we'll get the answer. Okay, fine. So next class is also mind class. Okay, so you take 10 minute break. After 10 minutes, we'll continue this class. Okay.